Hello.
Yes, I could be mistaken, but I'm looking for the very delightful Tatiana, darling. How are you,
You're
babe?
crazy.
How you doing?
Hey, Mickey. How are you, Mickey Free? What's
Oh, oh my
up?
God, oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, on Mickey's Free Ride on 93.9 The Mountain, we are talking, getting ready to get into it. We're going deep, baby. We're going deep. With my girl Tatiana, known for hanging with Michael Jackson, the one and only, and her actress, dancer, model with her beautiful self. And it's my duty to welcome you to Mickey's Free Ride, baby. And talk,
Aw,
yeah, and
thank
talk to you.
you.
Yes, you're gonna be the second most adorable, stunning woman on the free ride. Before you was Cindy Blackman Santana, of course, Carlos's wife. But
Oh my God, I'm so honored.
no, stop. But
Honored.
you know what? But it goes back. It's my show is all about what I've done, Tatiana, in the business as an
Mhm.
artist, and my friends, and what they have done. And I don't like to,
Right.
yeah, I don't like to call them interviews. I like to call them chats. With my friends.
Yeah, well,
You
exactly.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And that's exactly how I'm looking at this,
And it's totally a
It's
chat.
just
That's
catching
it.
up with an old buddy. So,
With an old buddy.
oh,
But I had to have you on here for a couple reasons. Besides your gorgeousness and beautifulness, who I'm a big fan as well. Your association with Michael Jackson is legendary, and I felt that people should know that don't know it, especially on my show. And I wanted to just chat with you if it's okay. You fine, beautiful, part Cherokee.
oh, well, you know what? You know what is so funny about that? I just found out this year I had my DNA done.
Mm-hmm.
I did the what is it heritage.com
Right. Does
thing,
that work?
and yeah, and found out I have no Native American. I was blown away,
Wait.
Mickey. I
That
was
you have
totally. I was
none?
like, what? None. Well, because I was adopted, so
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
lost that half of
Right.
myself, which is my
Right.
father.
Oh my God. Yes.
And I always thought I had some native blood on my mother's side. Well, long story short, had the DNA done. It turns out I'm more British and Scottish. I
Oh,
have Nigerian,
British and
a little
Scottish.
Italian.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a little Italian and also Asian.
Oh my God. Right?
So, yeah, I was like, what?
That's why you're so beautiful, because you've got that.
Wow.
You've got that mix, darling. You've got that mix
Vegetable
going on. You know
soup,
what I mean? You know what I
right.
mean? But I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start like
I
this.
know what you mean.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Talk to you. Talks. You know what I mean? So I know, and everybody knows your relationship and or your stardom with Michael, who was my buddy as well. On
Hmm.
the video, The Way You Make Me Feel. I mean, that was just like, besides being the fact that Michael Jackson was probably one of the first black artists ever on MTV, which was
Hmm.
amazing. Yes, yes. You
Yeah.
kick
Oh,
butt
yeah.
in the video, and I love that video, and the way your coyness and the way you looked, and the
Why,
whole
thank
thing.
you.
But
Yeah.
let's start. But we're going to start here. But there's more things I'd love to talk to you about. Let me start with
Okay.
asking you, T, how you met Michael, and how did it come about for you to be in The Way You Make Me Feel. Besides being ultimately so beautiful, and you still are, it's a joke. But what happened? How
Oh,
did
why,
you meet
thank you.
him and all
Well,
that?
if you don't mind me going back just a little bit
No,
prior to
no, you
Michael,
have to.
actually, I would say I got my start in ballet. I had a scholarship
Oh my God.
that took me from Clearwater, Florida to New York City under the tutelage of George Balanchine. So I was a student at the School of American Ballet. And from there, after I would say about 5 years, it was a fluke. I got into modeling. And I was working with a fashion illustrator at the time, quite famous, by the name of Antonio Lopez.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so I worked with Antonio, and he taught me a lot about the industry and modeling in particular, and that led me to Japan. So
Oh
I
wow.
modeled and lived in Japan, in Tokyo, for 5 years, and would come back and forth to New York.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I met Denise. I met her in Japan, and we were both returning.
Well, you're talking about Vanity. Are you
Denise,
talking about Vanity?
a.k.a.
Yes, yes.
Hold up.
Okay.
Denise Matthews,
Yes, ma'am.
a.k.a. Vanity.
Wow.
So, yeah, we met in Japan, and, you know, I always just think that was such a special time because it was pre-Prince and pre-Michael for both of us. So anyway, upon returning to New York, I was dating one of the musicians in the band, Herbie Hancock's band. And that kind of led me to do his video. He was, you know, looking for a girl, and because I knew him, they were like, well, hey, you know, let's give Tatiana a chance. So that was my very first music video ever, was for Herbie Hancock, and it was called Hard Rock. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I
but
do. I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, my
and
God.
we shot that in the subway of New York City, which was just a blast.
Oh, my God.
So much fun. So anyway, about, I would say maybe a year after that, also I did Beat Street, a little extra work on Beat Street. I got the bug, and I was ready to, you know, come to Hollywood. I had what you call the stars in my eyes, you know? So, yeah, and then I came to Hollywood and did a couple of jobs, and my agent said, I'm sending you on an audition today, and it's for an artist who is of the caliber of Prince or Michael. Right. But I can't tell you who. I said, oh, okay. So, you know, I didn't put much into it. I just said to myself, well, I'm going to do a great job, period. I'm going to give it my best. I get there, Micki. There's a boombox on the floor, and it's playing Beat It. I said, oh come on, game over. Game over. I knew who it was for.
Well, of course.
Exactly. So, yeah, that was, I want to say maybe like my fifth audition and very first video in California. And it was very exciting. I mean, the day I met Michael was August 29th, 1987. Wow. And the video came out in 88, like just, you know, a few months.
The Way You Make Me Feel.
Yeah, yeah. But it was his birthday when we were doing the run-through. And I remember the choreographer asked him, do you want to, you know, run through with her, get up and do it with her? And he was like, no, I'm too shy. I can't.
Right.
So the choreographer himself, Vince Patterson, he did the run through with me. But I remember just being so incredibly excited. Yeah, I mean, it was the greatest high of all natural highs. It truly was. I mean, you know, Michael was my idol. Right. I grew up with him. And, yeah, it was really cool. Well, so that was the beginning.
You were? You know, I mean, in those days, we were rolling hard. I mean, in 87,
oh, you know, my God.
I was in Shalimar.
The 80s were the best. Right. The 80s were the best. Right. It was such a magical time. Music was, in my opinion, at its greatest.
That's right. And it was.
The fashion, colors, the hairstyles, everything was over the top and creative and artistic.
No doubt.
And now it's just so different.
It's a different world for us, but I don't want to stray because I've got you. You're my guest.
I hear you.
You're held hostage. You know I love you. You know I love you. I always, you know. I mean, getting back to Michael. Okay?
And I'm your prisoner.
Right? And that's what you are, Miss Tatiana. You know what I mean? You're my prisoner. You're my prisoner. I loves you. But your relationship, though, way transcended just a girl being in Michael's video because you guys had such chemistry. Yeah. I knew him from Diana and Gene Simmons, you know, and I could. This was before I met you, and we'll get to that story a little bit later. But I could tell that you guys were like kind of tight and vibing, you know, in that video and probably before. Now, tell me if I'm wrong. So you got the video, obviously, with your sexy, long-legged fineness. Sorry about that. And you got the video, but you guys became kind of friends. Tell me a little bit about that.
During, actually, the shoot of the video, his hairdresser introduced me to his mother, Catherine.
Yes.
She was on set one day, and I remember being rather nervous.
The almighty Catherine, as we know, yes.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, my God, that's his mom. There she is.
Right.
And so Janice, no, actually her name was Janet. I'm sorry. Anyway, she introduced us, and I remember being very shy and excited, of course, but she was very sweet. Mrs. Jackson was just so sweet, and I felt so comfortable around her, you know. But, yeah, we were, I would say, Michael and I, we were growing feelings for one another, and I started hearing through the grapevine, you know, people in the industry and his hairdresser and people close to him telling me, and his own family members, you know, Jermaine, and, you know, that he had feelings for me, and he was always talking about me constantly. Even Corey Feldman would feed me with information, you know, and yeah, you know, it's honestly, some of it's kind of hard to go back on, because I can't help but think sometimes how things could have been different.
Right.
But this interest, these feelings were considered. They were considered a threat. I was considered a distraction at the time, and he was on, you know, the top of the world. It was, you know, Bad was hitting the top of the charts, and this was like, you know, a peak, so to speak, for his career, his solo career especially. And so, some things happened behind the scenes.